Alright, dropping down into the second game between Corvus at Rostrum and Buttery Tentacles. Corvus at Rostrum apparently won the last one, which means that if they can win again, Buttery Tentacles will be out of the tournament, and Corvus will, which is Team 1, will advance to the next round. Looking at the teams, I'm seeing some obvious points of note. Sty has brought a lot of rocket shuttles, possibly all rocket shuttles. It seems increasingly likely that it is 10 rocket shuttles. Okay. And Secret Link? What missiles? It's like a combination of guns, AMMs, and chaff. Well as the PAPs, of course. Is it still 10 of the same thing? It might be. This will be interesting. Meanwhile, Ren is rocking a pretty standard Plasma 100 liner.
The enemy is securing Zone Eclipse.
I'd say. And another one. Very nice. Then an AWACS monitor. With Intel Center, Early Warning, Bloodhound, and another shuttle.
The enemy is securing Zone Comet.
And from WZ Snipes we have a third Plasma liner. They are a fairly strong build.
The enemy is securing Zone Dagger.
In a cello with a singular Aurora and I believe 2 floodlights. Yep, those are floodlights. Oh, my bad. 2 Auroras and some AMMs, presumably. Not sure if it's taking full advantage of the strengths of the hull,
The enemy
we'll
secured Zone Eclipse.
And another Bloodhound tug. Very respectable. On ANS, starting off with
the enemy is securing Zone Boxer.
CLs from Firestorm. That's good because they're going to have a lot of work to do.
The enemy secured Zone Comet.
Minarius. Axford doesn't know what it wants to do with its life, but it should be rather adept at killing shuttles.
The enemy secured Zone Dagger.
Not sure how well it will defend against rockets,
enemy is securing Zone Atlas.
A combination of 250s on the beam and also the 120s will be able to shred them very quickly. Also, a creature. Can't say I like this. You could probably do the same thing cheaper with 2 frigates, but we'll see how it goes. Then seems to be a torpedo capper.
The enemy secured Zone Boxer.
Which is going under the map. Doesn't seem like it's going to run into anything. I don't know whether it's going to try and go towards B or towards C. Neither of which is especially close from the exit of the tunnel. And Xenophon has already lost.
The enemy secured Zone Atlas.
Who could have guessed a team with 20 shuttles is gonna do pretty well for the ACAP. I'll keep an eye on you. But looks like a spyglass frigate. CLs are very unlikely to die to those rockets. Xenophon's just playing a cap fleet. She's very good at that. So, reasonable choice. Wow. That shuttle is dead. to the B Maxford. Oh, and Hubris. 5 S2H Sprinters, an extremely deadly build. Well, it might be overkill for a massive quantity of shuttles, but they'll certainly be capable of killing them, as well as every other ship on the OSP. But how are things developing? OSP's gotten the A cap, and ANS doesn't seem to have anything in place to take it back. They are overwatching it with AB Maxford. There are shuttles everywhere. There's shuttles around the back of the map. There's shuttles under the map. There's a lot of shuttles under the map. There's a shuttle here. And there's shuttles apparently guarding the B point. I don't know why, but can't hurt. It's not like they're gonna run out of them. Though they have taken 5 casualties. 1 on the A cap. Huh. Yeah, looks like Hubris got a couple over here. And Goldstein tried to push past the A cap and got beamed. And all this for a trade of a single capping corvette, which clearly isn't especially expensive. So, where do we go from here? It's historically very difficult to push onto the A cap in Aorta, especially once both teams have their plasma 100 mil and beams set up to guard the point. It looks like the Axford is advancing, but I doubt Manarius will actually attempt to cap with this fleet. And the Sprinter doesn't seem to be going for it either. A Monitor will fall victim to Subtle Hubris's Sprinter fleet. I think that's a sentence I'm going to be repeating a lot. You know, it is entirely possible that Hubris can kill enough things that the ANS team will have a chance to just push straight through the center of the map, thus, you know, neutralizing OSP's combat ships and allowing them to take A uncontested. But that does remain to be seen. Firestorm and Manarius still seem to be taking very defensive positions. And, you know, so is the OSP team, but unlike the ANS, they have the luxury of not having to attack, as they hold 3 points to 2. Another shuttle is going to die, possibly a waste of S2s. You don't know if 10 is strictly necessary, and Hubris is going to run out of them at some point. Still, AMM's taking their pound of flesh. Not enough of a pound of flesh. It's not technically dead. And another shuttle. That one is dead. Alright. So what's left? The 20 shuttles has been cut down to 12, but other than that, OSP's only lost a single monitor, and ANS has only lost an empty corvette. So, it's entirely possible this will just turn 2v4 or 3v4s, all of the shuttles are slowly bled out, and OSP needs to fight the entire blob with 3 bulkers and an Acello. Regardless, seems like that won't be coming anytime soon, as Foxholes are still staying in cover. However, the axe herd is making its way around to the sea point, escorted by the E-War Vauxhall. Now, what is there to stop this? 2 shuttles. One's a rocket shuttle. Close ranges, it might be able to do some damage, actually. And also a second rocket shuttle. Okay, gun shuttle takes down a sprinter. No, it got hit by rockets as well. I think. Possibly S1s. Manarius gets spotted and decides to back off. Little Hubris is coming down from the roof of the map to engage the bulk of the OSP force, presumably. But for now, just doing some more shuttle hunting. Pavises get 2, but not enough.
The enemy
Meanwhile,
is securing
Hubris is
zone
spotted
eclipse.
on burn-through. The Acello is shooting at burn-through pings, and the liners are... Well, I think they were trying to rotate, but after the ping wore off, they don't seem to have anything to do. What happened to you? Must have been a little too close to one of the exploding shuttles. The OSP is desperately shining their floodlights towards the sprinter squad, but they're not having a whole lot of success at spotting them regardless. Aeneas continues to lurk, as does Firestorm. Well, Xenophon's just hanging around and
The enemy
trying to
secured
cap.
zone eclipse.
But in the meantime, a shuttle seems to have stuck onto E. Possibly to the surprise of this Corvette, as... No, the Corvette managed to kill one shuttle apparently, but the second from Secret Link has managed to cap the point. Regardless, it's not going to last very long since ANS has plenty of ships in the area that can just simply retake the point. This hasn't done much for OSP other than waste 2 shuttles. Xenophon is trying to get back onto the ACAT, and now that OSP is trying desperately to shoot down the sprinter swarm, she might have a chance. Firestorm's backing her up, and honestly, I don't know how much I like this play. The Vauxhalls are going to be very vulnerable in this place, but at the same time, they do have a lot of firepower they can put out. And if OSP doesn't have direct line of sight of them, they might be able to do a lot of damage and then retreat before they can get punished. However, the whole operation is being spotted currently, and OSPs
The
bring
enemy
their
is securing Zone
liners up in an
Atlas.
attempt to respond. Of course, HE or HHC isn't going to do much to these things, at least not until the plasma comes out. Corvus has backed off, possibly attempting to clear out the C point, while his teammates are fighting on the A cap. Xenophon is charging forwards into the bulk freighters, attempting to torpedo them. Which may very well work, as these definitionally have very little point defense. It's all taken up by T-20s. It's 2 torpedo hits.
The enemy is securing Zone Eclipse.
Not sure why she didn't fire all O. Because they're carrying S3H as well. So, every one of OSP's combat-capable ships is now firing into these Vauxhalls, and predictably they aren't having a good time, though they'll be able to repair up most of this damage. Meanwhile, the bulk freighter is similarly much the worse for wear, but the real question is, will they be able to take the A cap? And it seems like
The
the
enemy
answer is
secured
yes.
Zone Atlas.
Alright, so now OSP needs to make a play to take the cap, which is going to be different when their shuttle fleet has been cut in half, and there's 3 Vauxhalls right there. Seems like the answer is to just charge it in a Cello and a bulk freighter from Ren and Snipes, respectively, and hope it works out. ANS does have beams, but one of them is over here and not in range of the A cap. The other is on E, also not in range of the A cap. So what could be basically instant death for these bulk freighters is now only going to be a probable death. As the Vauxhalls retreat. Or are they? Well, we'll see what happens with them. Meantime, Hubris has resumed shuttle killing activities. Try this at home. I wouldn't recommend it, seeing how this game has been going. And another full volley towards Friend's Moose. A lot of AMMs, so there's hope that they actually survive this. Big damage, but not catastrophic. Meanwhile, OSP is reclaiming A. ANS is not contesting or even shooting the Bulker, which is a bit surprising. Actually, they don't have sensor cover on that point at all, which is a big mistake. I think Xenophon's Corvette can probably just see it, though. Still. Instead of punishing the capper,
The enemy secured Zone
Firestorm
Atlas.
is elected to pursue the Ocello. To decent effect. Ocellos, however, much tankier than Bulkers, and he isn't bow tanking at the moment. Oh, but Hubris is continuing to throw missiles, and it looks like Fred is out of AMMs. Still, though, C81s have a lot of HP, and this isn't dead yet. Now, it is worth pointing out that OSP has about a 200-point lead over the ANS right now, which means that if this goes on any longer, I think ANS will need a 4 cap to actually bring this back. Of course, there's still plenty of time in the match.
The enemy is securing Zone Comet.
That certainly is a possibility, especially as OSP continues to be ground down by the
enemy is securing Zone Eclipse
and the sprinters, and theoretically the Axford, which hasn't really been contributing much, but may just be getting into beam range of the main OSP combat force.
The enemy is securing Zone Atlas.
Let's check on Hubris. Going around the back to a lightly defended B point, which Xenophon's already taking, actually. Is that a rocket shuttle? No. Does this have weapons? Also no. Alright. Hubris is very close to running out of missiles, however. So he'll have to use them wisely. I don't know if he's going
The enemy secured Zone Comet.
to spend any more on the rather tanky bulkers. No, he's just shooting them one by one. OSP
The enemy
caps
secured
E
Zone
again,
Eclipse.
Xenophon moved the destroyer
We are contesting Zone Atlas.
out, but still gonna kill the shuttle very easily. Meanwhile, she's continuing to contest Alpha to greater or lesser effect. Axford is being forced back by plasma fire and not even getting to align its beam, I think. Though it's putting 450 into this somewhat damaged Ocello. The Bloodhound tug is not long for this world.
The enemy is securing Zone Atlas.
But Xenophon has also managed to cap C. Neither side really managing to hold on to their natural caps consistently. ANS attention may have been split a little too much, whereas OSP just doesn't have the staying power to hold their caps, especially not with Hubris rampaging through their backline. Now OSP has taken up residence on A. The B-Max for never a time too late. Let's see whether it can put ANS back into the game by taking out one or two of these bulk freighters. The beam is rotating, but oh. Again, it's not properly rolled, so it's going to be a while before it can actually get on target. And now it's just continuing to retreat. Is Xenophon going to attempt to retake E? She'd better. But it looks like she's trying to chase off this rocket shuttle, or gun shuttle, in the meantime. There's also a gun shuttle sharking towards D. Hopefully, Xenophon,
The enemy is securing Zone Boxer.
Corvette will be able to counter that threat. B now being capped by Hubris. Predictably, he's killed everything there, except for this one gun shuttle, which is also about to die unless it can rock PD these S2s. Let's see, it looks like it's going to make it, surprisingly enough. Yep, I hate to see it. Still, it doesn't have a hope of contesting
the enemy is
the cap.
securing Zone Comet.
And now ANS does look like it's going to get that 4 cap. Oh. unless a rocket shuttle can take out the Corvette on sea.
The enemy is securing Zone Eclipse. The enemy secured Zone Boxer.
Meanwhile, the fight on A has been going not so great for ANS actually. This really is a very close quarters engagement, and that is not something that Vauxhalls excel in. It's something much better suited to the likes of the B-Max, but it doesn't seem like that's gotten much action this game at all. Firestorm's trying to pull back. I think he needs to send something to the sea cap, because a single Vauxhall could easily clean up those gun and rocket shuttles. Hubris is rotating back. Maybe he is trying to get that. But the game is... But OSP is getting pretty close to finishing up the game right now. Couple Quark S1s getting chaffed. Meanwhile, the Sprinter doesn't really have any missiles left to fight this shuttle. And no, one of the bulkers has drifted into range as well. It's probably not going to live for very long. So, what's left? OSP's remaining combat ships are surprisingly well put together, especially seeing how the Vauxhalls came out of that engagement. ANS does have the cap lead, but not the points lead, and that's really something
the
they
enemy
need
is
to
securing
change right
Zone
now.
Eclipse. The enemy is securing Zone Dagger.
And the caps on D and E are not going to help. Beam DD at least should be able to stop the E cap. But it looks like D is belonging to OSP at the moment. Oh, the B-Max were finally getting into play, but this Bulker a little too tanky for it to be hurt without battle shorting. Hubris still has, well, 3 missiles on each of his Corvettes, which is not a lot.
The enemy secured Zone Dagger.
Yeah, these Pavis shuttles have been doing very well against the torpedoes, it seems, which is making ANS's life very difficult here. They might require Hubris's help to finally deal with them. Hubris, however, has shot
the enemy is securing Zone Comet
to try and damage the Moose, and only getting a couple hits out of that volley. Probably not what he needed. The storm is driving into a rock. Really needs to... Possibly just trying to keep a watch on C. Though it is being retaken by Venarius. Hubris still has 1 missile left on each of his ships. Unfortunately, even a 4 cap isn't going to be enough for ANS now. I think they need the full 5 to stop OSP from winning the game. And the way things have been going, that doesn't seem like it's likely to happen. Sure, Hubris has just shot his last missile at a shuttle, which is still alive. No, actually, that's his last missile. What a disappointing end. It seems certain that OSP will retake B. They should be able to hold A against this spyglass frigate. And there's nothing
The
even
enemy
in
is
range of
securing zone.
that.
The enemy is securing zone Boxer.
So it does seem like this game is more or less decided. There's still fights
The
going
enemy
on though.
secured
Let's see
zone
how
Comet.
this Axford does against Crown's Plasma Bulker.
We are contesting zone Boxer.
Being at long range, even battle shorted, it's not doing a whole lot of damage, only managing to knock out a single plasma
We are
cannon
contesting
before
zone Atlas.
it's forced to be repaired. Meanwhile, the Bulker continuing to dump shots at the Axford as it tries to retreat into cover.
The enemy is securing zone Boxer.
You know, looking at these boards here, you'd think that ANS is doing very well, especially when you look at the wall of OSP shuttles that have perished tragically. But if you think about it, when you look at the main OSP battle group, OSP's only lost a single bulker out of 3 bulkers and a single Ocello,
The enemy
and
is
the rest of
securing zone
OSP's
Atlas.
ships are combat capable,
The enemy secured zone Boxer.
whereas ANS, uh, they have this heavy cruiser which hasn't been able to do much, this Vauxhall which also hasn't been able to do much because it's E-War, and then of the actual Vauxhall fleet, one of them's dead and one of them's very badly hurt. And ANS has decided to call it just before the game ends. Alright, let's see how the ships did. Firestorm's Vauxhalls did a little damage, but not really the numbers you want to be seeing from those, especially since they were engaged in combat so much. The heavy cruiser did pretty well, all things considered. Not a whole lot of damage out of the beam though, and I think you're focusing so much on that it's a little like you're dedicating an entire ship and probably half your points to this beam, so for it to only get 4,000 damage is a little disappointing. Hubris probably the hero of that match, but not able to take down enough actual fighting ships to turn the tides, and Xenophon, a valiant effort in the caps, but with the sheer quantity of shuttles OSP brought, ANS really needed to deal with the bulkers uh, before they focused on the cap game. Meanwhile, the shuttles. A lot of dead shuttles that accomplished nothing. That's more or less all there is to it. But then you look at the bulkers and there's a respectable 13,500 to 8,000 damage on these. And another 10,000 damage on this, 8,000 on the Ocello. They were just able to hold off the ANS fleets long enough to just prevent them from getting anything done. And overall, kind of a strange game. I was very surprised to see the shuttles actually work. But you know what? I suppose the results speak for themselves.